South Africa's inflation quickened to 4.7% in October, in line with forecasts, but perhaps complicating the central bank's decision-making one day ahead of its policy meeting. Chris Harmse joins me now to discuss. Chris, the problem for ZAR bulls is that South Africa's economic profile has deteriorated somewhat since May, and domestic drivers could now become the key driver of a weaker rand. What are you expecting tomorrow? Is the central bank ready to act against these price pressures to keep inflation in target?
Monetary Policy Committee of the South African Reserve Bank should consider it strongly to increase the repo rate tomorrow, despite the current weak economic situation of a possible recession and higher and the weaker rand and higher unemployment. The fact of the matter is threefold. Number one, the Monetary Policy Committee should at this stage make sure that they keep their credibility. It's one of the things that at this stage avoid the downward grading of South Africa. So that's for them important. Secondly, the inflation rate is due to increase quickly within the next 6 months to higher than the 6% upper limit, given the fact that a month-to-month increase in October already was from 0% in September to 0.3%, and these strong increases will work through within the next 6 months. And lastly, at this stage, the Monetary Policy Committee should look at a possible 25 basis points increase due to the fact that we expect the Federal Open Market Commission to increase the U.S. interest rates at 15th to 16th of December.
South Africa has agreed to resume imports of 65,000 tonnes of poultry per year from the US after repeated delays. Rand's value coupled with drought could cause chicken feed to rocket, which analysts say makes the South Africa's government's slowness in resolving the trade impasse all the more baffling. Is this a major lifeline for the South African economy? And if so, why was the government dragging its heels?
I think this can be causing a serious problem for South African-US relationships in terms of AGOA. AGOA has now been driving for the last 10, 12 years strongly, and the South African economy, given its openness, is so reliable on exports at this stage, and that this late agreement to continue the imports of poultry to South Africa may jeopardize the whole AGOA agreement. And I think that the South African government here was not in the best interest of South Africa not to adhere to the request from the U.S. government on these imports, given the fact that it was now more than 15 years that there was 100% anti-dumping rule according to the poultry imports from especially the U.S. And I think that the South African government maybe thought that the U.S. won't be very earnest and very strict on this matter. And maybe I think we will have some red faces going about, and that it may jeopardize quite the South African exports to the US at this stage.
Mounting negatives not only but including potential ratings downgrades means the likelihood of rand recovery in 2016 is remote, but analysts also believe an all-out rout is not expected either. Tonight we have the last FOMC minutes before December meeting. What key levels should we look out for in terms of dollar rand?
I believe that outright downgrading to junk at this stage is not on the card. I think the South African economy has proven that monetary and fiscal policy will adhere to keeping the creditors of South Africa at bay. In that sense, I think that the South African rand will move between levels of 14 rand and 14.40 over the next month. I'm a bit worried 15th, 16th of December, if the Fed is going to increase US rates, that we may move quickly beyond the 1440 level, with a resistance level at 15 rands against the dollar. My biggest concern still stays from the weakness in the Chinese economy and the negative effect it has on commodity prices. And it seems though that this negative effect is continuing in months to come. So together with the possible increase in interest rates in the US, the rand may be under pressure to those levels beyond the 15 rands a dollar.
Chris, pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for your insights. Well, viewers, we'll be back with all the latest market moves following the Fed minutes, so please do keep clicking back to Dukascopy TV. Goodbye.